Holy shit. He said what?
Breaking right now, Thomas Markle Jr., the sister of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, has lashed out at his sister and her husband, Prince Harry, in the most brutal interview he has ever given.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorites.
It's really a little bit disturbing, saying that, you know, she doesn't have a family, she doesn't have a father, and then Harry saying that she has no father now. That's just ridiculous.
I think she's taking advantage of a very weakened man and getting him to say things that you just shouldn't be saying on television.
Meghan Markle is always attempting to, shall we say, build relationships with very, very, very rich men.
Royal family, you should be so thankful this woman wanted to leave, because she's not going to bring any good to the branding of royal. She's going to downgrade it to a level of ghetto, and that's what it is. This is just bad.
August 4th, 40 years ago, Meghan was born, and she was born as a C-section, so she was put in my arm. I was the first person to hold her. Her little hand went around my fingers like that, and I fell in love with her, and I've been that way for 40 years.
Okay. Am I there?
And I really do miss her.
I hope you're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Do you still love your daughter?
Of course I do. I love my children. I love my other daughter. I love my son. Of course I love them.
After years of silence and speculation, Meghan Markle's estranged brother, Thomas Markle Jr., is finally breaking his silence. And what he's revealing is nothing short of explosive. According to Thomas, behind the royal headlines lies a heartbreaking family saga.
She doesn't know us. You know, it's just very bizarre how she just basically brushed the entire family under the carpet like we don't exist, and then lied about not having a family, and lied about she doesn't have a family that she's always wanted. You know, we've always been here.
He recalls a time captured in now lost home videos when Meghan shared a warm, genuine bond with their father. A past he says stands in stark contrast to her actions today.
Like any proud parent, his home is littered with photos of his beloved children.
For the longest time, she wanted to be a dancer.
Each image is a heartbreaking reminder of happier times.
Actions he views as nothing less than betrayal. But before we dive into those forgotten home tapes and the full unraveling of this once close family, Thomas hits us with a brutal take, his harshest yet. He doesn't just think Meghan changed Harry, he believes she ruined him.
Do you think your sister, Meghan Markle, has ruined Prince Harry?
The answer is yes. I mean, every single interview, every single picture, every place they go, Meghan grabs him. Meghan controls him. Meghan tells him no. Meghan stands in front of him. She controls every single situation like she is the star. And she's turned Prince Harry into a man of non-substance, you know, for her own well-being.
So what exactly does Thomas claim Meghan's done to the Duke of Sussex? Let's dig in. Thomas doesn't hold back. He says you don't need insider knowledge to see what's happened to Prince Harry. Just look at his face. According to him, Harry now walks around like a ghost of the man he used to be. And for Thomas, that transformation isn't random. It's the direct result of Meghan's influence.
I do believe Meghan is driving this whole caravan for him. He is so stressed out. You can see it in his face. Despair. He's confused. He thinks he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't say exactly what Meghan says. Very sad to watch.
But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Thomas claims Meghan's carefully crafted public image, graceful, compassionate, relatable, is nothing more than a mask. Behind it, he alleges, is someone far more calculating. In his words, a bully. And the root of it all, he says, is a deep, unwavering narcissism. He paints a picture of someone who sees herself as the flawless center of every story, the star who doesn't need applause, because in her mind, she is the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly hurtful. I also have always had sympathy with your father because I felt that he was thrown to the wolves. He tried to do the right thing, he came unstuck, and they just disowned him.
According to Thomas, when you live like that, accountability doesn't stand a chance. According to Thomas, Meghan doesn't need fan clubs. She's already her own biggest cheerleader, but he takes it even further, claiming her entire self-made image is built on shaky ground, lies to be exact. Especially when it comes to that inspiring rags to riches story the world has heard so many times.
Yeah, actually, it was because of Meghan that it was taken away. Meghan could have had it there if she wanted to have it there. Instead, she wanted to have a bunch of celebrities she barely knew, from the Clooneys to the Beckhams to Elton John to James Gordon to Timbuktu. I mean, it looked like anyone she'd met on the party circuit in the previous 2 years got the invite.
Now, it's definitely uncomfortable to hear, but it begs the question, what's behind this level of outrage? Thomas says it goes deeper than just family drama. He alleges Meghan isn't just rewriting her past, she's chasing a future that was never hers to begin with, a future where she's the next Princess Diana. And that obsession, he claims it's led to a dangerous fixation on the one woman who is royalty in the eyes of the public, Catherine, the Princess of Wales.
I knew Meghan for a bit before she met Harry. Did exactly the same to me. You know, she did that to many people that she knew, that she'd either worked with or was friends with or whatever. It just seems to me she's what I would call a ruthless social climber, who just when people are no longer appropriate parts of her circle, they have to be expunged quickly so she can move on up the ladder.
Absolutely.
According to Thomas, Meghan's jealousy, mixed with what he describes as extreme narcissism, creates a cycle, a constant stream of self-made drama where she plays the victim, manufactures the crisis, and then points the finger at everyone else. If he's right, this isn't just about fame. It's about rewriting the throne in her own image. But Thomas says the drama didn't stop with their family. It escalated the moment Meghan stepped into the royal spotlight.
What do you think's the biggest mistake that Harry and Meghan have made?
Leaving the royals, because that was what she married into. That was explained to her. The people of England loved her and loved Harry, and I mean they were the stars. Everybody loved them in England.
According to him, that's when the real damage began. And the first to fall, Prince Harry. He paints a picture of a power dynamic that's not just unbalanced, it's orchestrated. Thomas claims Meghan controls every single public appearance down to the smallest detail, all to make sure she stays at the center. This, he says, isn't a marriage. It's a carefully staged performance, with Meghan cast as the lead and Harry as the supporting role who barely gets a line.
And I think it was a desperate plea because they've made their bed for the last 6 years and now they're sleeping on them, and the entire world knows exactly what's happening with those two.
Thomas argues this need for control has chipped away at Harry's identity. Once seen as the bold, independent royal who broke the mold, Harry is now, allegedly, just a background character in his wife's narrative. And here's the kicker. According to Thomas, he's not the only one who sees it that way. If true, it's not just a personal shift, it's a complete rebranding of a prince. And a jaw-dropping moment, even Meghan's own father, Thomas Markle Sr., echoed the sentiment, saying it looks like she's taking advantage of a man who's clearly not the same. To him and the rest of the family, it's not just sad, it's a full-blown tragedy.
Do you have any advice for Harry?
Yeah, stop talking about the royals. Stop giving away all the secrets about the royals, and love your children and love your wife, but also love your grandmother and love your father.
Thomas Jr. doesn't mince words. He says Meghan was handed a life most people could only fantasize about: royalty, fame, influence. But instead of embracing it with grace, she allegedly chose to burn bridges, stir conflict, and cut Harry off from everything he once knew. And that's what makes this so puzzling. Because if you saw those old home videos, Thomas insists they'd show someone else entirely. A girl who laughed with her dad, who seemed grounded and warm. According to her family, the person she's become is almost unrecognizable. And the cost of that transformation may be one broken prince and an entire broken family.
Well, that's her first wedding in Jamaica. That's one of my favorite pictures. I'd like to have that experience with my granddaughter.
If you could get just one message across to your daughter now, what would it be?
As always, I do love you, and I wish we could sit down and talk about it. I'm not an ogre. I'd love to talk to her.
To truly grasp the scale of what Thomas Jr. calls Meghan's royal takedown, he says you have to start at the very top, with how she allegedly treated Queen Elizabeth herself. From the moment Meghan stepped into royal life, Thomas claims, she showed an unmistakable lack of respect for the late queen. But the most explosive claim, a final brutal confrontation behind palace doors, one he believes was the real reason Meghan and Harry fled the UK, not the headlines or public pressure. According to him, this wasn't some isolated misstep. It was part of a pattern, a strategy she had already mastered within her own family.
And now, like I said, Meghan did it to me, and now Harry's doing it to his father. That's a cold thing to do, and it's even more cold to do it to the queen, who's in her 90s. None of this makes sense.
Her half-sister, Samantha Markle, backs this up. She recalls a time when they were genuinely close. Before Meghan's rise to fame allegedly changed the dynamic completely. What was once sisterhood, Samantha says, became silence. And that's where the pain cuts deepest. Samantha argues that Meghan's entire career wouldn't have taken off without the support and industry connections of their father. Without him, she says, there's no Hollywood, no royal wedding, no global spotlight. For the Markles, it's not just about fame or jealousy. It's about feeling discarded by someone they helped lift up. Thomas Jr. says what hurts the most isn't just being pushed aside, it's being completely erased.
Has she made any attempt to contact your father since he had his stroke?
None whatsoever. And, you know, I totally agree with you on the fact that none of us were ever coached or given any help with the paparazzi or press since the very beginning, which has caused a lot of problems. Nobody reached out. I actually reached out.
According to him, Meghan and Harry's public narrative has wiped their entire family from the story, as if they never existed. He describes reaching out over the years, trying to bridge the gap, only to be met with silence. Not just distance, but a cold, calculated wall, like he's a stranger to the sister he once knew. And this, he insists, isn't just a case of family tension. It's deliberate, a full-on rewrite of Meghan's past, where anyone who doesn't fit the new image is edited out. The most painful example, the royal wedding. Thomas claims it was supposed to be a moment where families unite, a once-in-a-lifetime celebration, but instead, their side of the family was publicly excluded. No calls, no invites, just silence. And, he emphasizes, they never asked for anything in return, just to be there.
My congratulations to Meghan and to Harry.
Harry and Meghan say they plan to call her Lily.
Lily is a perfect name. And the other thing that makes me happy is there's now about a lot more Markle blood in the royal family.
The fallout was so complete, so final, that Thomas has made a vow he'll never speak to Meghan again. For him, that wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was the final proof that the Meghan they once knew was gone. Thomas Jr. is convinced Meghan's public image has finally hit its breaking point. And for their father, that moment of no return came during one deeply disrespectful conversation. A moment so sharp, so final, he says it proved the daughter he once cherished no longer exists. But according to Thomas, cutting off her own family was just the start. Now, he's sounding the alarm, warning that Meghan may eventually turn the same ruthless playbook on Prince Harry himself. His chilling prediction, Meghan's attachment to Harry isn't about love, it's about legacy. He believes her interest in him is tied directly to his royal status. And the second that status no longer serves her, Harry's role is over.
Harry just can't give her anything else anymore. He served his purpose. His purpose is over and they're no longer aligned in purpose. So it's for her, it's time to move on.
She's already gotten the benefit of her bargain with Harry because she got the title. That's what she wanted. She wanted to be world famous. She wanted the title. You remember when Harry was single, he was the elephant. He was the one, the most eligible bachelor on earth. You could be a royal, you could become world famous overnight. You could live in a castle. You could have access to the crown jewels. You would be a princess. My God, yes, he could have had his pick.
It's a brutal claim and a tough one to square with the warmth seen in those Lost family videos, where Meghan once seemed grounded, loving, and connected. We'll show you those rare clips, moments the world hasn't seen, of a happy, ordinary family. But Thomas Jr. believes that girl is gone, and if Meghan ever tries to reconnect with their father in the future, he says it won't be out of love, just strategy, just another PR move in a carefully staged story. Thomas Jr. is unwavering. If Meghan ever tries to reconcile with their father, he says it won't be about love or remorse. It'll be a desperate attempt to fix her image.
How can she sit there saying, I so love my family, my family love me, and ruthlessly cut you, Tom Sr. and Samantha out of her life?
That Meghan Markle really did expect Harry to be a billionaire when she met him. She was incredibly disappointed to find out he's only worth a couple million, and she's gonna have to actually work and hawk these jams and jellies and dog biscuits to have the lifestyle that she wants.
And in his words, the public will see through it. But then he takes things even further, into territory that's deeply controversial. He publicly questions the legitimacy of Meghan and Harry's entire family life, even casting doubt on the most sensitive topic of all, their children. Whether or not those claims hold weight, Thomas insists on one thing. He believes the children are now being used as pawns in Meghan's ongoing battle against both sides of the family.
I mean, that moment when Prince Harry, who's never met your father, says that Meghan has no father. What did you think of that?
I think it's horrible. The documentary is so far off on so many different levels.
It's a disturbing image of a fractured household, carefully curated for cameras, but hollow behind the scenes. And this isn't just one man's opinion. In a heartbreaking statement, even their father, Thomas Markle Sr., says it feels like the couple has ghosted both families entirely, cut ties, shut everyone out, left silence where there was once connection. It's the kind of isolation that doesn't just sting, it echoes.
Let's just say I'm hoping it doesn't go on forever. Right now I'm talking to Meghan and Harry. I love you guys. We can work out the problems. I don't think there's any problems that can't be worked out. And I've said I'm sorry about the initial problem. If I've said anything today that offended anyone, I'm sorry about that too. But I'm just telling the truth and how I feel about what's going on.
Thomas Markle Sr. paints a haunting image, not of scandal or strategy, but of silence. A house that should echo with laughter, holidays, and grandchildren now sits quiet, quiet, hollow, and shut off from the family that once surrounded it. While Thomas Jr.'s claims frame Meghan as a master manipulator, their father offers something different, something far more heartbreaking. His story isn't about power or control. It's about regret, about one mistake he openly admits, a poor decision he calls dumb that's cost him everything. And the punishment, in his eyes, it's harsher than most criminals ever face.
If I had done something terribly wrong, that would be fine, but I haven't. So I just want an answer. I don't like to say it, but I gotta say it. I don't know of anybody that cold to do this. I'll be very disappointed that I don't get to hold my granddaughter.
Does it hurt?
Of course it hurts. There are axe murderers in prison. Their family comes to see them, right? I mean, I'm not an axe murderer.
He says he's serving a life sentence, cut off from his daughter with no hope of reconciliation, no parole, no mercy. But the part that truly breaks him, the fear he'll never get to hold his granddaughter, never hear her laugh, never be more than a stranger in her world. What stings most is the irony. Meghan and Harry have built an empire on the message of compassion, healing, understanding, family. Yet Thomas Sr. says none of that compassion seems to extend to the man who helped raise her. And even after the silence, the estrangement, and the media storm, he's still holding on to one simple truth. He's never stopped loving his daughter.
I made one dumb mistake, and I'm never being forgiven for it. And this show that they're on, they talk about compassion. There's no compassion for me. There's no compassion for my family. And there's no compassion for the royals.
Thomas Markle Sr. doesn't sugarcoat it. No matter how messy things have gotten, he's still her father. That bond, at least in his heart, hasn't been broken. But when asked the painful question, do you think she still loves you? He doesn't have an answer, just a quiet, heartbreaking uncertainty. What deepens the pain is the memory of the last time he ever heard Meghan's voice. A short, final phone call from his hospital bed, just days before her royal wedding. A moment that should have been filled with hope and healing.
Is part of you tempted to just drive up to California, turn up on their doorstep and knock on the door?
I'd never do that. That makes me a stalker. I'm not a stalker. She knows where I live. Harry's invited to come down anytime he wants by himself, or Meghan's invited to come down anytime she wants by herself or with Harry. I would love that. Father's Day is coming up. That really hurts when Father's Day comes up.
Instead marked the end. Since then, Thomas has faced one serious health scare after another. A heart attack followed by a debilitating stroke. And through all of it, not a single message, no phone call, no sign of concern from the daughter he once believed would never turn away. He says he's truly at a loss, confused by the unrelenting silence and the total absence of forgiveness.
Do you see similarities in the way Harry has treated Charles and the way Meghan has treated you?
Yes, I see them both ghosting their families completely. Now basically now they're alone in a huge house that they could probably accommodate 20 people in, and it's just the four of them.
But what stands out in his interviews is the raw sincerity. If he knew what it would take to fix things, he says he'd do it in a heartbeat. And perhaps most surprisingly, that willingness to reconcile even extends to the man who took his place at the wedding, walking Meghan down the aisle while he watched alone from a hospital bed. In a moment that catches many off guard, Thomas Markle Sr. reveals he holds no bitterness toward King Charles for stepping into his place on Meghan's wedding day. In fact, he says he's grateful. It was, in his words, a gesture of fatherly duty, one he deeply wishes he could have fulfilled himself. But there's no resentment, no anger, just quiet acceptance of the role he never got to play.
There's some irony to the fact that Harry and Meghan are now living just a few hours up the road from you.
Right.
Yet they might as well be on a different planet in terms of the amount of contact that you're all having.
Exactly. I'm not a tearful type, but I keep everything in here. I don't really let it out but I'm certainly hurt by a lot of it.
Throughout every public appearance, his message stays the same. He's not looking for fame, revenge, or attention. He just wants to talk to his daughter, to show her that he's not the villain the media has made him out to be. And perhaps most heartbreaking of all, he lives just a short drive from Meghan's multi-million-dollar mansion, so close, yet entirely cut off. Despite that distance being easily closed, he says he would never show up uninvited. He refuses to force a confrontation, out of respect for her space, her choices, even as he's completely erased from her world. He waits in silence. When asked if he believes his actions may have played a role in Meghan's well-documented mental health struggles, Thomas Markle Sr. doesn't deflect. He acknowledges the possibility, but he also gently pushes back, saying he's always been just a phone call away, that no matter what happened, she never had to face anything alone.
Meghan's been very open about her mental health struggle.
Yes.
Do you consider yourself partly to blame for her suffering?
Maybe to some percentage, but I was there at any time. She could have picked the phone and called me at any time. She has my phone number. So
At the core of it all, his message remains painfully simple: forgiveness and reconciliation. He truly believes that no problem, no matter how deep or complicated, is beyond repair if they could just talk, just once. But he also knows the clock is ticking. Thomas speaks with a quiet, sobering realism about his health. He's aware that time isn't on his side, and with each passing day, the fear grows stronger that he may never get the chance to meet his grandchildren, to look them in the eye and say, "I'm your grandpa." He's not asking for pity. He's not angling for headlines. In fact, he says he wants nothing more than to step out of the spotlight altogether. Thomas Markle Sr.'s final wish isn't grand or dramatic. It's quiet, simple. He says all he wants is to share the peaceful life he's built with a family that now feels like a memory. That's the heartbreaking truth of where things stand today.
You're not getting any younger. Do you worry that you might never meet these two grandchildren?
July 18th, I'll be 77 years old. Most of the Markle men don't make it much past 80. So there's a good chance I might never see my grandchildren. I'm not looking for pity. I'm just saying that's a reality.
And then come the home videos, the ones that hit harder than any headline ever could. They show a different time, a different Meghan, a different family, watching a young Meghan light up as she spots her dad in the school audience, beaming with pride as she tells him, "Daddy, I got an English award." It's a moment so pure, so full of love, that it feels almost unreal compared to the cold silence that exists now. That's what makes this story so deeply human and so painfully complex.
Have you sort of given up hope of a reconciliation with Harry and Meghan?
I'll never give up hope. I'll stay in the game. I mean, like I said, if I'm called or visited, they're welcome anytime they want to come down. I'm here.
Because yes, we can all agree, what her father did before the wedding was a serious breach of trust. But when that one mistake is set against everything that's come after, his declining health, his repeated apologies, and the growing list of accusations from within Meghan's own family, it leaves us with one impossible question. Is one moment of failure enough to erase a lifetime of love? So what do you think about all this? Did Meghan draw a necessary line to protect her peace? Or did she go too far, cutting off the very people who once stood by her, and in the process, becoming exactly who her family claims she is?
Do you think she still loves you?
I have no idea. I don't, like I said, I haven't spoken to her since I was laying in a hospital bed 2 days before they got married. That's the last conversation we had. That was it. I haven't spoken to him since.
This is a conversation that everyone seems to have an opinion on, and I want to hear yours. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story we uncover here on Star Spotlight. We've got more real talk, raw drama, and behind the scenes truths coming your way.